So one of the central points of what we do is, one of the most important thing we do is we create a mentorship platform for people who want to, or who are aspiring to, or who are still moving on in their career pursuit. So the best way to get to where you want is to have someone that is already ahead of you, who can give you a guide as you move along in your career journey. And so we provide this mentorship platform, which I will talk about in details later. And then thirdly, we also create networking opportunities. So for example, you want to be a data scientist, for example, for this platform it's an avenue for you to meet someone who's already doing the same work that you want to do. And then you can ask them questions on how you can navigate you can navigate within the field or within the area to be able to accomplish what your goal is. And so we provide that networking opportunities to network with other data scientists, or if you want to be a software engineer, to connect with other software engineers that's in the field. And then lastly, we also support and emerging leaders. So we want to also help you to develop your leadership skills. And when we also provide training in this area also. So how do we achieve the above objective? One, we provide all mentees. So if you can register to be a mentee, we provide you with guidance, with advice and feedback. So each one who is willing to be a mentee, you'll be assigned a mentor that will guide you, give you advice, give you feedback, and then second, also to establish a more trusting environment with accountability and responsibility between mentor and mentee. So we're creating a kind of a trusting environment or a trusting relationship between you and whoever your mentor is. And then the last thing is that we also mentor and guide students through application process. So if you are trying to apply to graduate school, whether within Nigeria or outside the country, so we can provide you with guidance on application to graduate school. So I want to talk more about our mentorship program. So I've said about the mentorship program. So you can apply to be a mentee if you're interested by filling the form with this link. I will post the link on the chat maybe after this conversation. You can also apply to be a mentor too. So it's not just for people who are looking for someone to mentor them, but if you're interested in mentoring other people, you can also join us mentoring. But of course, there is a minimum criteria for you to be a mentor, which if you have, we can talk about it afterwards. So this is currently the list of all our mentors. And you can see we have a varieties of experience across different areas. So if I sum up the experience of everyone here, it's probably, I'm sure it's over 50 years of experience, if I'm to sum up all your experience. So we have data scientists, we have people who are into machine learning, we have data analytics, we have software engineers or developers, we have people who are more into research, we have educators, we have so to name it, we have a quantity assurance specialist. We are also we have a space scientist also, and we are still open to expand this range of experience of different people. So if you're willing to be a mentor, also you want to come with your years of experience, you want to mentor other people, please feel free to join us. So we also, part of what we do is also to get people informed about various skills, develop skill. And we do that through what we call our mentorship classes. So we've had different mentorship classes in the past. One of them is Introduction to Web Design, which we just finished like a few weeks ago. We also had a mentorship class on how to prepare for the future you want. And we also talked about scholarship and CV or resume writing. For each of these training, if you are interested in any of these topics, we have it on our YouTube channel, which you can access in next slide. So currently our online presence, we have a LinkedIn page, which you can view after now. We also have some of our mentorship classes training on the YouTube. So please feel free to access all of this training. If you would like to join our WhatsApp group, please, you can just send me a message after now, and we can add you to the WhatsApp group later. And the last is also we have what we call Slack, which is simply a platform for you to communicate, and it's a forum for for discussion and exchanging ideas actually. So if you want to join our Slack platform also, please feel free to join. So here I will just give, I think I'm done with my slide. If you have any question on what I've talked about so far within 1 to 2 minutes before we move into the training, and then I introduce up. So anyone, any question, please, you will not be able to unmute yourself. And the reason is just to create orderliness, because we have a mass, about over 600 people registered. And so we don't want this just people muting themselves and stopping the training. So if you have any question, please just write in the chat and I will go through it right away. If you have any question, please feel free to ask. Okay, let me share all the links that I just talked about. 1 minute. Okay. So I'm putting the link for the forms if you are interested. To join the WhatsApp group, you need to first of all fill we can add you, but I would suggest you first fill the mentorship, the mentor application form, and then we'll have your details and it's easier for us to add you to the WhatsApp group. But if you want us to add you right away, please, I would want someone to just keep record of the numbers that are on the chat, meeting chat. And also I would add also the LinkedIn profile link also. Okay, so I've shared the LinkedIn, YouTube, and Slack, and I've also shared the mentee application form and also the mentor application form. Is there any question? I haven't seen any question yet. Okay, if you want to have access to the recording, it will be posted on YouTube later. Any other question? I have like 3 minutes to leave this place, to leave and transfer. So any other question? Okay, in the absence of none, so we move on to the training proper. Okay, someone said, can I share the LinkedIn address? Okay, let me share it again, sorry. I just shared again the form to register either as a mentor or as a mentee. And then now the LinkedIn or YouTube. All right. Okay. All right. So not to waste much time. So we have 3 of our mentors. who will be taking classes, who will be teaching or facilitating the classes on data science. They are both very, I would say, very resourceful people. You can see in the flyer. So the first person is Oluwaseun Odeyemi. I've known him for many years. Currently, he's a senior consultant in data analytics in EY in the United Kingdom. He graduated with, I think I know him, he graduated from Lautech actually, with a degree in statistics, and he also has a master's degree too. So currently he's working as a senior consultant. And also the second speaker is also, a very close friend of mine. He got his PhD recently. Austin Okoli is currently an AI scientist and a postdoctoral fellow at Clinic for Diagnostic and Interventional Radiology in Germany. And the last person who will be taking this class also is currently a PhD researcher. He specializes in machine learning and blockchain. He's also an expert in this area. His name is Faithful. So please welcome. I want to welcome Mr. Oluwaseun Odeyemi to thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much for that introduction, Mr. Tayo, Dr. Tayo, sorry, I apologize. All right, thank you so much for that. So I welcome us all to this session, and it is very great and very good to have all of us here. So apart from those 3 people mentioned, we still have some other people helping us with the background works. And I would like to mention my friend, that's Babatunde Samuel. So he's also working on the background. Then we have someone like Olufemi is also supporting on the background. So they are the ones like making the balls roll. Yes, so I will just be walking us through a quick introduction to the data space. And like we said, the expectation is that for this session, we're expecting people that are just starting their journey as a data scientist, data analyst, anything in data. So let me just go ahead and share my screen. So we just deem it fit that it will be a good thing for you to know 1 or 2 things about the field you are anticipating about, and let's see how our session can help you to achieve 1 or 2 additional things. So please confirm if you can see my screen.
Yes, you can say it.
All right, good. So this brief session is around data professions and just helping you to get started with your data professions. Okay. So these are the agendas. We'll be seeing it on the slide as we are moving on. So let me just not spend much time on it. So first, I know a lot of us will have been hearing a lot around data, and even if you're doing all this AI and machine learning, there is something at the background which all these machines are being trained on. So I will ask you, what is data? I don't expect you to respond, but I just want you to ask yourself that question and clarify. And what are the data professions you know? So you can think at the back of your mind and think of, have you heard of data engineering before? Have you heard of a data analyst before? Have you heard of like maybe data governance expert before? So all those things are data.
Sorry to cut you. Your
Right.
volume is low. Is there a way to increase the volume?
Volume of the microphone.
Of your microphone, if it's possible. People say,
Okay.
yeah, the comments that they cannot hear you very well.
Wow. Let me see if I can do that. Audio settings. Okay. So, okay, is it better now? So maybe I'll just increase my voice and let's
Okay,
see if
yeah, I
that
think
can help. It's
Should be
better
okay.
now.
Yeah.
So I have to shout a bit. So apologies. And yes, so let's just see how that works. So we will be considering things around like data and your role, some roles that are possible in data profession. So I will start by defining what data is, what you should start considering as data in your environment. So we said data is a collection of text, numbers, images, audio, symbols without meaning. So I think it's good to note that without meaning. So before your data have any significance, it must be processed or given a particular context. So that is what actually give your data meaning. That is what give your data usage. So we said data is everywhere, but the meaning of that is everything you can think of,
Yeah.
like now, seems to be like data. But if you don't give it a proper context, you might not be able to extract the kind of insight or information it's giving you. So I used to give this example when you were buying anything from all these gigabytes from maybe MTN, maybe Glow, you tell them that you are what? You want to buy data 20 gig, 30 gig. You understand? Some people will just like, oh, they're calling it data and we are used to it. But in reality, everything we're using to communicate is in ones and zeros. I know we have that from the beginning, like introduction to computer. So all those ones and zero, our system is the one giving it context, and that's why we can communicate. I hope we all know that we are all sitting in a different places, but we are using those data, the data that we've purchased from all these internet service provider to communicate with one another. And what our laptop is doing is basically what you'll be doing as a data professional, or any form of data professional at any level. That's what you're doing. So if you can understand what your laptop is doing for you by converting all ones and zero into pictures, into voice, into videos that you can see and relate with as human. That is basically your responsibility as a data professional. So so when we're talking about data professionals, we talk about data analysts, whose function is basically collection of data, cleansing of data, analyze the data, and to help business to make better decisions. So you analyze the data and to support the business in terms of their decisions. So prior to the time of learning about data, organization runs months, years that they just feel like following their gut feelings that, oh, will be profitable, will make profit and the likes. But by the evolution of data professionals now, people are able to track their current activities, and that's where your data analyst comes in. So you track what has been happening days on days, years on years, month on month, and how is your business faring. And I always tell people that numbers don't lie. Your feelings can lie. Your managers can say, oh, we are doing well. I feel we are doing well. But your numbers in terms of sales and profitability, you are not doing well, you are not doing well. Your number will show you. Then we now have data scientists. And the aspect of being a data scientist is to be able to use um, machine learning tools, or tools like maybe programming tools like R, like Python, to extract information that are not readily available, like to the physical human in your data. So such things such as maybe customer clustering, all those things, all these models have the capacity to bring together multiple columns and use relationship according to all the models, and use it to determine maybe segments, maybe cluster within your data set, which normal human being, no matter how brilliant you are, you might not be able to do that calculation. So that's the function of data scientist. Then we have data engineer, which their major concern is around development of data infrastructures. So it can be data infrastructure in terms of housing your business data, and they can develop something like pipeline that feeds all these other data offices, just to make sure that they are able to deliver value to the business at a time. Then we have a data architect, where what you do mainly is to design and implement data system. So you design the system. So if they want to do customer analytics, you design a system for customer analytics. If they want to do business forecast, you design a system for business forecast. So all those things, you just try as much as possible to put it in place. Then we have business intelligence analysts. They do something that is closely related to what a data analyst is doing. But you might have heard a lot of things called business intelligence. So all what these ones do is help us to bring our data from tables and help us to create a summary of it. And that's why, as part of this training, we'll be mentioning something around Power BI. Just a brief introduction, just for you to see the capacity, what is available in that space for business intelligence. Then we have statisticians. I'm proud to be one of them. So we can also add mathematicians there too. So you develop model and use statistical methods to create insight from your data. So they work closely with a data scientist. So more refined one is data scientist, but mostly they are like statistician, because all the linear model, all the clustering models, they are they are parts of what is available as a statistician. Then we have machine learning engineers, which also work more like data scientists and statisticians. They just build machine learning models and help you to use the model to derive more insight from your data. So yes, I think this one is just shedding more light on those data roles. That's like talking about the interaction between data scientist, data engineer, and data analyst, how all of them are interwoven and how they interact within an organization. And I always tell people, when you're working in an organization, don't ever assume you're on your own. A data analyst depends on data engineer. A data analyst depends on data scientist. A data scientist depends on data analyst, because by the time you are done developing all those model, all those clustering model, is a data analyst that will help you to show the business, and the business can actually digest all the insight you have as a data scientist. And without a data engineer, there will be no data pipeline to help you even with your model. So if you develop your model as a data scientist, you need something to keep refueling the gas of your model, such that your model can be up to date and relevant to the business. So there is something we call ML ops. So if you're in software development, you'll have heard of DevOps. So the ML op is like machine learning is it operation or optimization, such that your model become like a living system, such that what your model is predicting this month is not what it will be predicting next month. So as your data is increasing, your model is learning. So that's where your data engineer comes in. So you can see all these data offices, all these data roles, they are interwoven, closely interwoven. So just have that at the back of your mind. And these are further description of what these roles are, and just to see the skills that are relevant to each of these things, each of these roles, and what is expected of them. So if you're considering going to any of these roles, I think it would be a good thing for you to have this at the back of your mind, and to be able to learn according to the pattern of what is needed in any of these roles. All right. So a quick one. Let's just think of a virtual data project, because um, this one will be a conversation, end-to-end conversation of how a typical data project is expected to move, such that you can deliver maximum value from your data project. And it's tailored a bit more around data analytics, but this same idea is what is expected as a data scientist, as a data engineer. All those, also all the process are important. So we said we have 6. So which one asked? The second one is prepare. I'll be looking at the one on my what's it called, left hand side. So although there will be a way, there is a way there that it can be related to the one on the right hand side. So but I will get to that later. So thinking of the 6 data projects, so what are the things that are expected for any data project? What are the things that are expected? So number one thing, so imagine, just paint this picture at the back of your mind, that I'm a new beverage company and I want to penetrate the market of Nigeria as a use case. So I'm bringing in my new beverage to the country, and I seek your support as maybe a data analyst or a data scientist and say, okay, just help me with the most accurate price do you that you feel I can penetrate the Nigerian market with. So the expectation is that this is a challenge. You understand? So you can ask. So that's taking the first point. So you need to seek the clarification of the business problem you are to solve at that point in time. So it might involve things around documentation. So you document and be fully ascertain that you understand what the business is facing as a problem or challenge. So in this case now we're considering an appropriate price to penetrate a particular market with. So beverage as a use case. Yes. So then the next thing is what you look to in terms of preparation. So preparation, like what are the metrics you're measuring and what are the metrics you should look for in order to be able to provide that appropriate um, market price for that beverage. So in this case, if you're coming to Nigerian market, I remember I've been seeing Bonfita since when I was young. I've been seeing Milo since when I was young. And I think I've seen Ovaltine actually for a long time too. So these are three good examples of beverages. And I remember Richuku. Um, so just to show, and I remember Calbe. Yes, Calbe chocolate. So, yes. And if you notice, all the samples I'm picking, they might look like something we have in our day to day. But if you think in terms of their prices, you can identify some level of price change range within all those. And I think in all those beverages, I think Bonfita, between Bonfita or Milo, I said I know possibly Bonfita is the most overpriced. I don't know the price now. You understand? So in this case, I noticed that okay, if my target is around price, then I can use the price of current item in the business, in the market, to help me with my analysis and maybe projections. You understand? So now in that, I can now start my preparation and say, okay, let me get data of Milo and Bonfita and Ovaltine and Cowbear and Richoku sales for the period of maybe 10 years. So I want to be able to understand the trend in terms of increment in the prices and how I should be able to factor this into my recommendation and be able to tell the business a rich story on how they can penetrate Nigerian market and how they can sustain their business in the market. So now a recap, we've identified the problem and we've identified the set of data set that is required to be able to help the business with this case, with this situation, in this situation. Then the next one is what? Process. So process in terms of working with your data, like I refer to like a data engineer. So you bring your data together, you do all the sorting, you do all the consolidation, you know how to handle missing data, all those things. So you, how will I put it? You arrange your data, you format all those things you can think of in terms of making your data fit for analysis. So you would do, that's what you do in terms of processing. Then you can use things like maybe tools like Excel, you can use SQL. Then we have all those online DBs that you can use in order to prepare your data set. Then the next line is where you have your analysis. So analysis is where you come in terms of maybe your presentation. Are you doing things around visualization? How do you want to present the story to the business? And if you doing something around data science, this is where you inject your data into your models. So you inject your data into your model, you can check the pattern and see if you're doing things around linear regression. You want to see how the price changes, what is affecting the price changes, and all those things. So all those things, that is what you do in the aspect of analysis. Then the next point is where you share your insight. And this is where you tell the story to the business. So you're telling the business that, okay, based on my analysis, I'm not just coming to give you a recommendation. A good recommendation can be that, okay, look at the current price in the market and do the average and use the average to give like an interval estimate of what the business can come into the market with. And you will tell them that, oh, I'm giving you this range of value based on my findings. I've looked at the trend line, how businesses are doing in terms of their sales, in terms of their change in price. So considering all the I won't say magic, all the activities going on in the Nigerian market. So I've considered all those things, and this is why I'm coming with this price range. And if you have things around data science in your model, you can now say this is a forecast that, okay, if we are penetrating with maybe 500 naira as at today, then in the next 3 or 4 months, because we've looked at the price change across all the other products that have been in the Nigerian market, then in the next 3 months we can increase it by 15 naira. The country will still accept it. You understand? So with that, you're giving the business rich insight into how they can penetrate the country. Then the last but not the least is what? Where the business act according to your recommendation. But I always tell people, where you think your project ends is the beginning of another project. Because if the business is going into the market with your price range specification and recommendation, the next thing is that price effective for the business responsibility? Then that becomes another problem, in the sense that going at this price that you recommend, by acting on it, then they ask another problem: will the business be profitable? So if the business is not profitable now, how long will it take the business to be profitable? What does the profit looks like for the business? You understand? Then that begins another analysis. Then you can go and prepare another data and say, oh, how has Bonfita been profitable? You will have heard of things like maybe Jumia or other country that they might be in Nigerian market for 3 or 4 years and not make any profit. They will just be keeping the business going. I've heard of Amazon just keeping the business going, but with time they will break even and they will be able to sustain that growth. So if you tell the business that, oh, based on the analysis, bringing up together the analytics and data science and all this information, we can tell you that if you penetrate with this price, within the next 6 months, you'll be able to price at the price that you will be profitable at the business within the first 2 3 years. And with this kind of insight, so the business know that they definitely understand where they're going, they know what they should be expecting as a business, and they have something they are looking forward to. And that is where your value is as a data professional. All right. So I think that's just a little bit about, you can see the step, the process of asking to understand the business problem, then preparation to sorting for your data, process in order to like process bringing the data together and making it fit and ready for the analysis, then analysis whereby you actually go into the action, then you share whereby you share your insight and tell the story and make the business see what is going on in the market and act where the business actually act based on your advice as a data professional. Yes, and I think that's it. So also, if you look at this right hand side now, so the process starts from the level 2, whereby you have the business understanding, data exploration, data preparation, data modeling. So data modeling is where you have your analytics, your data science, and the like. Data evaluation is where you do something like maybe share and make sure the business understand your insight. And your data evaluation can be like confirming the performance of your model if you're doing things around data science. Then deployment is where you deploy into production or you deploy into the market, and it's the same thing as acting as we have on this other side. Yes, I would have loved to ask for question, but let the question be at the end of the stuff. Yes, so without taking much of our time, I think it's good to just introduce us to some of the tools that we have in the data space. So we have databases tools, which are like you'll have heard of Oracle DB, SQL. It's so funny that The only thing I heard of while I was back then in the at the university was, I think, Excel. I use XPSS a bit, and I use all this word. So, and we understand that this platform is not just for people that are outside the university. We need people. We are mentoring people who are still within the confines of the university. So it would be good if you have an understanding of all these tools and you can know what they are being used for. Like this training session, we'll be making use of Python. So we'll be making use of Python for the data science aspect, and we'll be looking at Power BI just to be able to interpret your data and present insight to your users. So these are most of the tools, and you will have seen Microsoft, AWS, all these ones are just cloud facilities where all these tools are made available within the cloud. So, so the difference is just that rather than installing Power BI on your system, you can use the one in Azure or other visualization tools in AWS. We have Amazon QuickSight, which is sitting in AWS. We also have Tableau, is also a visualization tool that can help analysts to tell their stories. All right, so that's that around data professions and your data analytics tool. So let's di uh, dive deep into the expectation for this training. So we want you as your facilitators. There are some things we expect from you in order to maximize our time here, both as a facilitator and as a learner. So first, we want you to keep an open mind throughout the sessions. Open mind in the sense that it might be a new fit for you, but don't ever talk yourself down. When you see that anything is difficult, don't conclude in your mind that you can't understand it. That is the moment you conclude, um, we all agree with you. If you say you can't understand, I will agree with you and just move on. You understand? But if you make sure your mind is open as much as possible, and mind you, all the people that are training you in this session, they didn't learn this within 1 week or 2 weeks. You understand? So practice like makes you more comfortable with all those things. So there are some things that you might be seeing them for the first time. Don't be scared. So just try as much as possible, understand it. If you have the freedom to ask for questions, ask for questions. And remember, this session is recorded. So you can always go back online and view it and make sure you digest it and understand what they're trying to pass along. And also do not multitask. And the reason for this is that it's very simple, but it's also very easy to get lost. So if you're doing something and you feel, "Oh, let me quickly go and get something and come back," one step, you might not be able to recover yourself again till the end of this class. So please, as much as possible, um, don't multitask. Also, talk to your colleague to gain new perspective. By talking to your colleagues means the people that you'll be meeting on this platform, try as much as possible. You can drop your comments, drop your chat, let people know if you have any question, and you can, your colleague is not only restricted to people. Nowadays you have your chat chat gpts, all those bad, all those AI environments. Ask and seek the knowledge. So everything is not restricted to what you have within 2 hours. And also we have um questions, ask your question. And also, this is not intended to be a lecture, whereby, although the beginning is just telling, but like we promised, it's an hands-on session. So you're expected to at least practice what we are hearing. And like I said, search online for further clarification. And I said, think about how you can apply this skill in your daily work project and freelance project. So don't just think, I just want to learn. If you're learning and you're not implementing it, it might not be of a quality use of your time. So please try as much as possible, come up with projects, let this project be challenging, seek out support, and we'll be happy to help you. If you reach out to me and tell me that, "Oh, I'm having this project, this is where I've found myself, this is what I've been able to do so far," I'll be so encouraged to help you. But if you just learn and you just close the book and you move on, um, in the next 5 6 months you might not remember one thing from this thing. And we understand your time is very important, so make sure you use it well. And also, your experience, don't be greedy with it. You've learned. Once you've learned, try as much as possible, share the learning. Let people know you can do this. If you are new to Python and you've been able to do one or two things on Python, be proud enough to put it on your CVs that you've been introduced to Python and these are the things you can do. And mind you, even if you don't remember everything, just understand what is possible within all this environment, and it will really help you. And the last but not the least, just to encourage you for your time spent with us, we will be offering digital certificate at the end of the program. And this is just to encourage people. So we understand 5 weeks of, is it 5 or 6 weeks now? 5 weeks of continuous learning is not a joke. So we just thought of like appreciating you for your time and giving you this. But there is a caveat. So in order to ensure your maximum attendance, 80% attendance is required to be eligible for our certificate. And remember, because we have a name to protect, so we are giving you a certification just to confirm that, okay, you spend time with us and we've rubbed off on you with one or two things around data. You understand? So that's why we will appreciate your attention, at least 80% attendance, and that will be really appreciated. All right, so what next? So what next? This is a question. So what next? The next thing is that we'll be heading up straight into the Python session, and the facilitator will give you almost everything you need. So even if you've never heard of Python before, you've been seeing it afar, the facilitator will walk you through from the beginners level to an advanced level, such that we are even looking forward to people that after this training they will say they want to have their PhD in machine learning and data science. We know that is possible. So we are counting on you, and I want to say welcome once again to this fantastic journey, and I can promise you you will learn a lot. And yes, so I think that's it from me. So do we have any question?
Yes, we have a question.
Okay.
So one question says, concerning the first step
Mhm.
on data analytics, I think you showed, how could we collect data relative to existing beverages? Oh yeah, on this page. So you were talking about collecting data about other
Mhm.
beverages like Milo or whatever to be able to know how much price you should give us. How do you
Yeah.
get this data? So that's the question.
Oh, so there is a lot of ways to get all this information. I know Nigeria as there is commodity data whereby like price, and how will I put it? Even if you search online, there, mind you, is a like a virtual use case. You understand? So it's not something that is real, but I can assure you, if you need commodity information, you'll be shocked to see price of Milo. Just search online, just say Milo price month on month from January to December or from any year. You'll be surprised all they recommend. A lot of people have done researches. At least I've seen someone doing research on Tutu. You understand? And this thing involves the prices, and some people even do research based on the content. You understand? So just try, you will search for all those ones online. But and if you're working within an organization, if an organization is having a data problem, there is a data problem, there is people problem, there is the market problem. So if the business is having the data problem, they will surely have the data. You understand? For example, if I'm doing data about my product, I can't tell you that I want to know my product performance and I'm not tracking my sales as a business. It's not possible. So that's like, those are the use cases you can have. But for maybe advanced research, even when you're doing maybe undergraduate projects, it might involve you looking for data, maybe from Bureau of Statistics or those things. So those are the things that we mean by preparing your data set.
Another question says, where can we get data for hands-on exercises? So if we don't belong to a company now, we want to just practice on our own. Is there a way to get data, free
Oh,
data?
perfect. Perfect. So for hands-on data set, if you want to do anything, I'm very sure of the ones for um data science and both data science and even analytics. Kaggle is a good resources, a good source. There is Kaggle, even Tableau. If you go to Tableau Public, there is an aspect whereby you can get free data set for sports, data a lot, and just go online. You can't finish. And I think is it data.gov. So, but at least since it's coming up as a question, we can put it in part of a session that where you can get free data set to try your skills and to bring yourself up to speed. We'll note that and make sure it's in one of our slides so we can share after the training. So thank you for that. Any other question?
Another question is, what is the standard database structure when doing data analysis and visualization?
Okay. In reality, there is no standard. The reason is that your database structure is being determined by the problem you want to solve. It's not something that is cast in stone. I can't tell you that, oh, you must in all the data, but what the recommendation for any data analytics is that you must use a normalized data structure. Normalized. So the meaning of normalized is that try as much as possible, put information that is related to a table into a table. Let me give you an example. I love using example around banks. If I'm doing customer analytics for a bank, now remember we have customer, we have accounts, and we have products. Three key tables. So when we're talking about customers, we know that these are information related strictly to customers. So, and the unique key on that table will be your customer ID. Then we can have the second level, which is what? Your account. And the meaning of that is that the unique key on account table will be what? Account number. So you as a customer, maybe Sean as a customer now, I can have 5 accounts in a bank. So on the customer table, you will only be seeing one record for me. And that record can contain my address, my state, all those things. Yes. So it is relevant to the customer. But when it comes to account, to be talking about maybe account officer, the product I'm using, which is like the product code, then is it my account type? Is it savings? All those things will be on account table. So that's what we mean by normalizing your table. So you don't mix things with account with customer. No. So they must be like separate. And for all these tools, there's something maybe by the time we are discussing about data analytics, and even in your data science project, at the point of visualizing your result, it might just be that, okay, maybe you need to pull in information from customers into your account segmentation that you've done to be able to properly assign your customer to segment that, oh, all these persons account are in segment one, then this guy is in segment one. All these persons account are in segment two, then this person is in segment two. So all those things. So you need it to be able to like create your visuals. And the reason why people always recommend normalized account is the normalized structure is that it's easy to interpret your data and it makes your tables lighter, which in a way affects your report performance. So lighter table makes your report more optimized and is faster and your user are happy to use it. So that's just my own recommendation around your table structure. So use normalized tables. Any other question?
Any other question? Somebody posted that they have data sets in healthcare or development sector.
Oh,
I would
great.
suggest that if you have such data, can you send it to us and then we can forward
Yes,
to
and we
all
can share.
participants. So people don't have to just send their email address to you directly.
Yes, yes, that's fine.
Um,
I think
so
that's good.
please share it with me and then I can post it to every other person. That's fine. Okay, any other question?
All right, so I think that's it from me. If there are no questions, thank you for your time. Over to you, Austin. Austin, right?
Okay, so now we've understood, we've gone through what data analysis is, science about. Please, if you have questions, just put it on the chat. Now we are going more into the practical aspects, which is Python programming. At this stage, I do not expect you to just be listening with your phone. I expect you to have your laptop in front of you. A link to the notebook will be posted on this chat. Austin, I don't know if you can do that right away. And then I will introduce, so we have Dr. Austin, which will be taking us introduction to Python programming. Thank you. You are muted.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, for the introduction, and also thanks to my colleague, Shemun, for presenting the introduction to data science, the overview. So I shared a link to, if you can check the chat, to a notebook. It's called the Google Colab. So for the sake of, for ease, for this particular section, so I created a notebook such that everyone can also have access. So if you're with your laptop, you can just go through the link, then you find the note. I think you can also run it because it's hosted, it's a cloud-based interface. You can just run the codes. But aside running the codes, I would be going through this line by line and explaining. Yeah, so Google Colab is a short form for Google Collaboratory. Yeah, Collaboratory, and it's a free cloud-based. Sorry, I can even just share my screen so that you can my screen.
Can you increase the size a little bit more?
All right. Is it okay?
Okay. Yeah, it's fine now.
Thanks. All right. So this is the Google Colab note. Shared it on the chat, and it's a short form for Google Collaboratory. It's a free cloud-based service provided by Google, and it allows anyone to write and execute Python codes through the browser. And it's especially well suited for machine learning problems, data analysis, and for education purpose. So basically in this section, we'll be covering, at least from now until tomorrow, we'll be covering Python for data science. And one of the things we would be covering is, at least we'll be looking at covering some of these things. But for today, we will split the class, somehow, then we'll continue tomorrow. So I'll try as much as possible to explain, even for beginners, like if you don't even have prior knowledge of Python.
Sorry, can you increase your voice so they can hear?
Okay. I'm also trying to. Okay. Yeah, please just give me some time. Give me a second, please. I have to confirm something, please. Okay. Okay. Is it okay now? Does it look good?
Yeah, your voice is breaking. I'm not sure. Can you hear you? No. No.
Sorry.
Okay. And also I want to advise that everyone increase the volume on your own system, because there's a limit to which you can increase his microphone. So if your volume is a bit low, you might not be able to hear him. So I'll suggest you increase the volume on your microphone, on your laptop or something. Also, I have the collab Google he was talking about. I have put the link on the chat. If you can't open it, it might be because you do not have. You need a Gmail account. So you need to probably log into your Gmail and then click on the link, and then you should be able to open it. So because if you don't have a Gmail account, the collab Google, the Google Colab is related to Gmail or Google in general. So you need to have a Gmail account opened, I think. Okay.
Can you hear me now? Is it okay?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Can you all hear me? Okay. Yeah, because they're mute. So I can just share my screen. Yeah, thank you. So,
Sorry, Austin. Please, maybe for
yeah?
recording sake, can you go back to the link and start from the link? Because I'm just seeing your page, and some people are having challenges like getting to the yes, to the file, to this file.
Okay.
So just go back. Just
So because okay, so I just because okay, now I copied the link. Emmanuel, are you able to log
Yes.
in? Are you able
Also,
to
you
check
need to
this
have
notebook?
internet to. You need to
So
have
you need to have,
internet,
yeah,
else
okay.
you won't be able to access it also.
Yeah, so this is the link. Like, this was what I copied. And so phone, I don't know, I can't say, I'm not sure.
Sorry, you can't use phone. I don't think it's going to work on your phone.
And also you need the Google.
And it's also preferable to use Google Chrome.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Google Chrome. Yeah. Maybe we can just ask the group if people are able to log in, they can just do a kind of sign like, is it possible that they can just use this?
Somebody said it works on their phone also. So.
Okay, perfect. Okay, yeah, then it makes sense. I never tried it. Yeah.
So if you can access it, please can you just put a thumbs up or put
something like that.
I can open it, something like that, so that
we can follow and code along. Yeah. Atiwa, is there any feedback? I didn't see any.
Yeah, people are saying I'm getting error.
Error has how, like, as how?
It's saying that they have invalid authentication credentials. Did you have a login to Google? Because you have to log in into Google first, because you must have a Google account. So that might be the reason why you're having the error.
Yeah, someone said it works. Okay, let me see. There was an error loading this notebook. Ensure that the file is accessible and try again. Okay, let me try. Yeah, because people already said they have access, so I'm surprised. Okay, let me see. Ensure expected. I think the error is not with the notebook because it says expected to access. Okay.
Do they need a token?
No, I doubt.
Yeah.
Let me try. Okay, just give me a moment, please. Yeah, I'm sorry if I just tried.
If you're using other browser, it might not work. So I think Chrome is probably the only best acceptable option. So try to have Chrome and then log in into your Gmail, and then you click on the link. That's the procedure. Oh, okay. Another problem is it requires good internet.
Yeah, of course.
Same error message using Chrome. Oh, okay.
Okay, let me try something else, and let me see if I can just directly get the shareable link. Share, copy link. Okay, TY, let's use this instead.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh no, I don't think. I think this is the not. I think this is just to the Google Drive. I doubt. No, not possible. Okay, I think it's the note itself. Yeah, this should work, right? Does this work? Yeah, I think this should work. Yeah, I think this should work. Please, you can try. Okay, this one is working. Okay. Yeah, I'm so sorry. Please, you can TY, please try to just pin this one I've sent now.
Okay. Send.
Yeah.
What did you,
Okay.
when you send to me?
No, I put it on the link. This.
Okay.
I think people.
So you can use the drive link. Oh, okay. So
yes. So I was just copying paste. Okay. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. All right. Thanks. Yeah. So the purpose of this class is just for, just to get a good feeling of, Python programming in general. And so while we would also be, can you hear me?
Oh, yes. I can hear you.
Okay, yeah. So while we would also be, trying as much as possible to, to code along, we should just focus more on the logic rather than just cramming syntax, because it won't help. So yeah, so like I said, welcome to Python for Data Science course. In this course, we'll cover this. And so we'll use this interactive Python code cell. And, of course, we can't, I can't do all, but I'll try as much as possible to, to cover most of the basic things we need, at least to get started. So, but there are links already in the notebook. You can check them, try to improve. For example, W3 Schools. It's a very popular website for, for learning wide range of programming languages. And we have Code Academy. You can just enroll for some course, like a track course or something. Also Coursera. I mean, you can just have a look, but please, I must advise you to to save a copy in your drive, so that after this section, even if you lose the link, you will have this notebook in your Google Drive. So at least if you can see my screen, I just went to File, and you can just save a copy in Drive so that you can add the duplicate. Yeah, so I will start with the basic Python syntax, and I start with the print function. So the print function just allows you to display or log your result. I mean, it's as simple as that. So just from the word print, it's just like you want to print a document or something. So you just want a kind of to display some information or something on a paper. So probably you want to print, so you have a test on your computer, then you want to print this particular thing, like you want to print it out. So you print it out on a paper. So in this case, this is not a paper. So in the screen, indirectly what you see here is like, so the console is, the paper now. So you just print the hello word in the console and it displays. For now, I won't be talking about why this is in parentheses, but we are just printing some 2 words, hello world. And if we notice, the print statement comes with parentheses, open and close. And we can, feed in whatever we want to feed in, into the parentheses. And second, comments. So just as the word implies, so comments are used to explain what your code does, or you can use it to ignore a line of code. And for example, let us copy this print hello world. As you can see, you just click on this circle to tell you whatever, then just run. You can see we are able to print hello world. If you want to run, click on this play button, or you can just leave your cursor in any of the yeah, just leave it anywhere, just in the line or in the cell. Then you can use Control Enter. Control Enter would also print out the code. Yeah, it looks like maybe the file is being updated somewhere, but yeah, okay. Sorry. Okay, it's okay. All right. So this, when you want to comment, you just use the hash key, and everything here wouldn't even have any effect. So when you run a cell like this, and nothing displays, but there is something that that displays here. And what you see here is also it's a multi-line comment. So you actually use this also if you want the information to display, but also it wouldn't affect compilation of your program. For example, if you notice this is a single line comment, doesn't display here. And this is because we have used the line comment with the hash. Okay. And when you use the hash, it completely disappears. It doesn't even display. But for the multi-line comment, it displays. And what you see here is it says, okay, there is a new line, which is /n. And that is why you see this /n here. And this is because I moved this comment to the next line, but if imagine I just probably put this, I take it up, I don't type it on the next line, you see that this new line would disappear. And you see now you just have this is A. And you see this space here is also because there is a space between this place, the parentheses, and this, and the inverted the colon. So if you take it back, so you can do whatever you want to do, but usually it's the case that if you have so much to write, you can just shift it to the next line. And just to be clear, if I would print out this hello world, of course, it's going to display just as we have seen above. But if we put a hash in front, and you can see it doesn't display. So in this case, you see that the comment can already ignore this code. So it ignores this print statement and it doesn't do anything. Yeah, so let's go into, okay, I think I mistyped. Okay. Yeah, this is just supposed to be below this, but I can just, sorry. Yeah, I'm supposed to just, it's supposed to be here. Well, it doesn't matter anyway. Yeah, sorry. So the next one would be data type. So, it's also very important for us to, to understand what data type is, at least to know the kind of, to know the type of data, the type of our data. Just as my colleague has introduced, data. So the question is, this data, what type of data is this? And we have numeric type, and numeric type means, okay, they are numeric, they are numbers. And this can include integers, floating point, complex numbers. Then integer is used for integer values like 5, 1, If you are very familiar with the number system, you would know that integers are just positive or negative numbers, including 0. Yeah, so and for floats, we have like decimals. This is just the difference between a float and the float and the integer. And we have the complex numbers. The complex numbers are just also numbers that has the real part and the imaginary part. Usually it's the imaginary part is usually denoted with I in most applications, but in Python programming, the imaginary number is represented with a J. I think this is because in engineering, I means I is a symbol for electricity, and so just to avoid confusion, they chose J. We have the list, we have the range. I'll talk about that in details so that I won't waste much time. But since you have the slide after the class, you can just go through it. It's just trying to give us a definition of what this type is. But I'll talk about list. List is just a collection which is ordered and unchangeable. So it's just a list of objects. I mean, anything we have stored in a variable. We have the range. It represents sequence of numbers, immutable. I'm also going to give an explanation of that. We have strings, we have dictionary, we have set, we have Boolean, and we have byte. But first, we can start with just the numeric type integer. So just like I said, integers are just positive and negative whole numbers, including 0. And if you are new to Python, there is what we call variable when you assign data to variable. So in this case, our data is 10, and we want to assign 10 to a particular variable. So what this number int is doing is it's just holding this information. So we can just come here and we can print 10. It doesn't really, it's going to print, because it's 10. But here we can just say, okay, I don't want to, add code this number in the print statement. I want to store this number in a variable called num_int. It's just like, as you can see here, we instead print number int, just what you see here, you see. And the type, the type is a Python method that can also tell us the particular type of data we are working with. So let me quickly explain what this is doing. So in Python, so usually I would also advise that when you are writing Python codes, if you are not sure about a particular syntax, you can always use the help function to you can see. So for all Python inbuilt methods, functions, or any inbuilt function, as you can see, help on built-in function print. So when you say help, you tell Python, okay, help me with this particular function. I want you to explain to me what this is doing. And as you can see, it writes the function, how it's to be executed. You have the parentheses open, you have the parentheses closed, and you have some ... that represents what we are going to explain now. Now, what does Python says? What does the print statement says? It's very important for you to also understand this, that the print statement, it takes in a value first, and what you should understand is the value could be anything. If we could remember the last time I printed, I said print 10, it printed 10. So it means here 10 is the value, okay, which is what you see here. That means every other thing is just ignored. And by default, you see that it ends in a new line. So what it means is that, this is by default what, how Python ends, the particular value with a new line. And so there is another thing called separate. So where you have, this single, quotation. And so what you do is that if you look at this particular print statement here, we have first an integer. So we just want to write a kind of side note, and it must always be at least in an inverted, in a double semicolon or single semicolon. It works the same. And what you can see is this comma. So what this comma means is that, okay, I can just add multiple things into this print statement by separating, by this, comma. And
there's
here,
a question. How do you run each of the lines? How do you run that?
yeah, you just okay, you just click this. This would run the whole cell. This yeah. So basically, what it's doing is it's saying, okay, Python print integer, that is type an integer, because this integer has not been defined somewhere. As you can see, it's only this number hint that we have defined. So you have to put it in a semicolon. We'll talk about that because integer here is a string, and that is why we have to put it in semicolon, in a double column or single column. Yeah, I mean, single quotation, sorry, double or single quotation. And the number hint would follow. And, as you can see here, it says, so this integer with double, this double semicolon or something, then, this is what we have here. Just a double. And the number hint comes to the front. And mind you, the number hint already has the information 10. And so what's going to happen is that it's going to just print the 10. And this last one, type, is telling Python to tell us the type of this number hint. Please, this number hint is not magic. It can be anything. You can just say A. You can now change it here. So it's going to work. So a variable is, oh, okay, because I didn't change this place to A. Oh, sorry, to A. So it's going to, so you have to be consistent in the usage, okay, of the variable. So if you're saying A equals 10, then you really have to ensure that you put A here. But there are rules on how you can, name a particular variable. There must not be space. For example, if you say AB, it's going to give you error. Why? It's going to throw error. It says invalid syntax. And it's pointing at this B simply because Python doesn't recognize spacing when it comes to naming an integer. So what you can do is you can use an underscore, somehow if you want to use more than, if you want to separate a variable like a letter, and you can see now it works. And the reason is because we have added this underscore, okay? And you see that it works. So please keep in mind that you can name your data, you can assign any name, but of course for clarity, and it has to make sense. For example, I can say age, my age, let's say someone is 20, and of course you want to print the age of that person. Remember, we have to replace back the old variable with the new variable because now we use age and it works. You can even say age here. So you can say age and you can see. So, but because we are working with integer, so I decided to, use the word integer. So at least it makes sense that, you understand what I mean? So don't think that it's a standard rule that it has to be named number int, and just be consistent. Now, the next one is a numeric type float. So like I said, floats are just, fractional numbers that can be represented as decimals. Yeah, decimal values, yeah. And the only difference is just, we have an integer number, then follows by a decimal. Then the same thing, we print type. And you can see for the int, you see that it prints out int. But for this place, for this particular 10.5, it's going to print out float. And this is because Python already understands that this number is a float, the decimal value. And please, if you have questions, you can just put it in the insert is at the top of okay, someone. So now the next one is complex, like we have said. I also explained why we use the J. The J is a symbol to denote the square root of -1, a concept which does not exist within the real number system. And yeah, usually I think one of the main reasons, like I explained, is because I is, I think in engineering, yeah, so something like in electrical, I think it means current. So they just chose J. So now how do you define a complex number? So 2, which is the real part, and we have the imaginary part. And you can print out this non-complex. Why are we printing out non-complex? It's because we have named this, we have defined this variable non-complex to hold this information. There are 2 ways we can do it. There's also an inbuilt function in Python called complex. It takes 2 arguments. The first argument is the real part, which is the 2, you see here. And the second part is the 3, which is the imaginary part. And you can see both will print the same result. And so what you wish to do, what you find comfortable for you, if you want to use this, if you want to just code it straight like this. Now, why I'm covering all of this is because when we start to write code, so that you would see something like this and you won't be surprised that this is this. So we have also test sequence, which is the string. Yes. And now I'm going to go back to the hello word we printed in the first print statement. Now, as you can see, a string is a collection of alphabets, words, or characters. So what do I call a string? So just see strings as anything, just a collection of, I can just create a cell here, and I can say it's a string, anything, even the like a spacing or anything included, they are also like it's a string. But the only difference is how do we handle strings? Like how do we handle strings when it comes to programming in Python? We have to put it inside this double quotation. And why is this? Because we are just writing a test. As you can see, it's a test sequence. So we want to tell Python that, okay, this is just a test, including spaces, including the space. It's just like you're making a statement. And to be more specific, if you say, I am a boy, I am 10 years old. So this is a string. You have just written a string, okay? And now the question is how can I print a string? I mean, it's just the same way we have done before. So, but the only difference now is because what you see here doesn't need a string because it is well defined, as what Python would accept. Like a 2 is a known integer type in Python. So Python already recognized that, okay, this is a 2, I recognize you as an int, so I don't have any problem. Okay, 3J, well, I understand you. J is not just any number, it means it's a complex number. But in this place, when you say I'm a boy, I'm 10 years old, Python doesn't understand what you're saying because it's not recognized. So there you can start talking about strings. And you can, of course, input, you can define a variable string example like str example, then it holds this information. So what I'm going to do is we can even replace this with this now. So let's work with this. I am a boy, I'm 10 years. So let's print and let's see what comes up. So you see it prints string. I am a boy, I'm 10 years old. The class is string, right? And yeah, that's just it. So please, you can have a look. String is a collection of alphabet, words, or the character. It's one of the primitive data structure, and they are the building blocks of data manipulation. But they are immutable. They are immutable, which means they cannot be changed after they are created. So let me give an example, but probably when we talk about list, then you would have an idea of what I mean, that they cannot be changed. When probably you want to index something, we'll talk about that. So just to be very fast so that I can cover as much as possible, but please just try to follow. Now, the next one is the sequence type. So the only difference between the test sequence and the sequence type is because the sequence type always have something like, arrangements in it. So for example, you have a sequence of things stored inside something. And so to be very in context, let's look at the first one, which is the list. Now, if you look at this list has just 3 strings. Like, it holds 3 strings. The first string is apple. And how do you know the start and end of the string? You see this double quotation, double quotation. Once where it starts and it ends, that is one string. Here is another string. Here is another string. When you run, you have apple, banana, cherry. And so now, what if I delete this double column? Like, I just want one double column. Now, if you notice, I've removed the other double columns, and what we just have now is one quotation and another quotation. And if you print it, you notice that now we just have one string. And how do we know that we have one string? You can even print the length of the string. So you can print it, and if you print it out, you see that it's just one. It means we just have one string, even though we have 3 fruits inside this string. Python doesn't recognize it as 3 different fruits. It recognizes it as just one. But to tell Python, okay, these are completely different fruits, then you have to ensure that you put the this every fruit must start with this double or single quotation and end with double or single quotation. And if you watch now, if I print the length, now this will change, this one will change to 3. So just for you to understand that, you have to be careful how you define strings, and yes. So I think that's just it, basically. So, and you can see the type here is a list. And I mentioned something here. If you look at they are ordered, they are mutable, and you have to be very careful when you are working with these data structures. So mutability means it can be modified. Okay, it can be modified. That means you can edit, or you can tamper with the list, with something. Now, if we go to this part, I want to change this apple to another fruit. Let's say orange. Oh, no, sorry. I want to change banana to orange. And there's what we call indexing in Python. So please understand, in Python, the index starts with 0. So what does it mean? Apple is in position 0. Of course, we know it's the first. We know apple is in the first position there. But in Python, it is in position 0, which means it's the first item in the list. If you say what is the first index in this fruit, it's going to say banana. So please be very careful. Like now, this one I've said, this one you see now is, you are telling Python, go to fruits, locate the first index, and the first index here is not apple, it's banana. Change this banana to orange, then print the fruit. If you do that, you will get, you can see this place is no longer banana, but orange, because we have modified this item in the at the index 1 to orange. Now, what does this mean? It means this is what we call mutable. When something is mutable, it means it can be modified. When you see immutable, that is the opposite, it means you cannot modify it. So you can play around with this and you can try to, let's try to modify the first, you can play around with it if you have your laptop. You can modify the 0th index now, which is apple. You can just say cashew or something, and you can print the fruit. And you see now, now we no longer have apple. So just, you can play around with it. And please, just to be clear, Python list must start with this square bracket, please, and ends with square bracket. Okay, it's very important. Start with a square bracket and ends with a square bracket. Yes, and it's not compulsory the list must hold a string. If you look at the definition, lists are used to store multiple items in a single variable. That is, I can even store integers, I can store floats. Okay, you can store anything, and you see, if you print it out, it's going to, you can see. So Python list doesn't care what kind of data type you store the list. As long as it's a valid data type, it's going to just hold the information. So now let's go to sequence type, tuple. Now, unlike list, there's really no much difference. If you look at the definitions, they are almost the same, but there is one thing that makes it kind of different, which is, which is immutable. And from what you can see, it means that we cannot edit, we cannot modify it once it has been created. So tuples are ordered and their elements can be of different data types. So just like lists also of different data types. So tuples can be created using parentheses. Unlike list, remember, list is created with a square bracket, but tuple is with just, this parentheses. So let's run it. As a matter of fact, I'm even going to use the same, let me use the example I started with so that we can actually see, yes. So you can see now we have declared a tuple, and the only difference is that we didn't use a square bracket. You see, we just use a normal parenthesis. So just take note. And now let us edit, just like we did, in this case. So let us change the first item to orange. That is what I would do. So here, let us change it to orange. Oh. And now if you try to print, now it will throw an error. And yes. And what does it say? This is what we have. This is the tuple example that we have declared. And now we are trying to tamper with it. We are trying to change this banana to orange. But Python says no. Tuple object does not support item assignment. Okay. So which means it's immutable. If we cannot edit it. So that is, we cannot change it. We cannot change it. So why do we want to use tuple and why do we want to use list? It depends on your problem statement. If you feel like, okay, I don't want to tamper with the information, I want this information to be fixed. That is, it's unchangeable. I don't want to make a mistake of maybe reference it somewhere and I mistakenly, tamper with the items, then you can just use tuple, okay? But if you are just flexible, probably you are trying to update a list or something, then, you can, you can just use list. Now, there is other type called range, just like the word says. So we can define a range also by the inbuilt range. Just define the starting point and the end point. And like I said, if you are using an inbuilt Python method, always use range, because I think that's the only thing that can really help you. if you are, if you want to read, I mean, you just have to cultivate the habit of reading documentation, right? And so what you see here, it returns some kind of attribute, but let's go to, yeah, what we have here. Where is it? Oh, yeah, sorry. Yes. Yes, so this is it here. So it says now, so there are several ways to define, I mean, why I'm also showing you documentation is so that when you start to practice, writing programming codes, or you want to actually use a method you are not sure of, or a function, then it's always good to, check the documentation. And what it's saying is that, okay, if I define a range, if I put in just one value, it means stop. If I put in start, I can put in a stop. And I'm going to give an example. So this statement means something. I can put a start, I can put a stop, I can even put the steps. That is, how Python should, space, like how Python should, create the spacing just like a discretized, way. Then if I'm using just one value in the range, then it means it's just stop. Yeah. So let us now play around with something. So this is a range example. I've put a range 1 to 10. Now let us print the range, the example, then the type. But before I do that, let me remove this. Let me just print what I defined here. Okay, let me just print what I defined. Now, what did you get? So Python only just tells you, because now I'm just creating a range, right? So what we have is 1 to 10, right? And usually in for loops, this would actually work because you are telling Python, okay, just go through this range, but it's not going to display, what you have in between. It just says, okay, this range starts from 1 and starts and ends in 10. What if I want to display it? Like I want to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And that is where you put this list. So you have to wrap the range already what you have 1 to 10, you wrap it in a list, and Python will just list out what you see. And you can see it doesn't just bring out 1, 10, it brings out all the number. And there is also one important thing to note. When you put a range 1 to 10, Python doesn't get to the last number. And this is because of how Python is structured, because the index starts from 0. So Python tried to just remove this deficit, and if you count this place 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, you find out that we just have numbers from 1 starting point up to a number before. But if you really want 1 to 10, please just make sure you put 11. Otherwise, it would never get to 10. So you can always put a +1 if you want to ensure that it gets to the last point. So usually you would always see this, where they just put maybe like n + 1 just to ensure that it gets to that particular point. Yes, and you can see you can convert range to list for printing. So that is why we put this list, and you can see the type, it shows range. Okay, let's move. We are moving. Please, like I said, this is just an introductory class. You can always visit that link to practice more, to see what more examples. And the next one is set. Set types. We have set. So set type is just like list, or like how we have. But now the only difference is that if you look at the definition too, it's unordered. That is, it doesn't care about the order, and it does not allow duplicates. So I think this is one of the most interesting parts of set. So it does not allow duplicates, unlike list. And I'm going to give you a reason why. Sorry, I have to go back to really show you why list doesn't care. For example, if I repeat banana 3 times, it's going to print it out 3 times. And this is because list doesn't have that, you see banana, banana, banana. So list doesn't have that feature to, to not allow for, for duplicate. But if you are really working with, you want to ensure that, every item you have is unique, I'd rather advise you to go with set. This is because set would ensure that there is no repeated, item. And if you look at this example, there is banana here, there is banana here, there is banana here. But if you print it out, you will see that, okay, J is not defined. Okay, sorry, I mistakenly put a J here. So, I mean, this is just an example of, if you put something that doesn't, Python doesn't recognize, it's going to throw an error. So now we see that this banana only occur once. And this is because the set function doesn't allow for duplicates. And they are mutable. Of course, we know what mutability is. It means we can edit. We can, you understand, we can edit. So you can also, you can go to W3 schools, you can find out, you can also play around with, altering some of these items. But of course, for sets, you can edit. Now, there's another one called frozen set, just like the word implies, frozen. And one of the key differences is also in this, if you really compare it with set, I also listed the difference below, you would see. But, from the word frozen, so you want to freeze at something, it means everything we define here is what we have here. But the data types, they are different. We define a frozen set with the frozen set function. Then we define a set with the set function. Of course, we don't even have to define. So in Python, once we, of course, unlike dictionaries will be there, set doesn't have like keys or something. Yeah, I think it's just the values or so. Yeah, so yeah, something like that. So we can just put in just normal values or whatever you want to call it. Whether it depends on what you want to name your items. But what you just have here is just a collection of items. So it's not sensitive to if you are assigning something to something or you're assigning something to anybody. It just says apple. Apple can be something, it can be anything. But just like frozen set is also the same, but you can see it's a frozen set. And we use the frozen set to wrap around these things. But there are two ways to define sets in Python. You can also do it the same way as this. In this place, we create a list of the objects, right? You can see we create a list and we just, call the word frozen set and we wrap it in the parentheses. We can also do the same here. In this place, you can just use the curly braces, but you can just still go with the same method. You can create a list, then you can just write the set, then you wrap it here. So it's still going to run because of course we have the inbuilt set key. But for me, I find it very straightforward to just, instead of writing all of this, we can just put a direct curly braces. But let me leave it as this. But just for you to know, I can also put it in comment that you can define a set just by some curly braces things. So just for you to note, so, very important. Yeah, so you can see it also works. So I'm going to comment this. It's the same. Okay, let's proceed. What is the difference between set and frozen set? Yeah, sorry for that. Mutability, you have mentioned that. Hashability, because frozen set is immutable and hashable. We can use what we have, the items as keys for dictionaries. So we'll talk about dictionaries later. Then for also methods, because set is mutable, we can modify it has methods that can modify its content. Unlike list, unlike a list where we can just manually modify with accessing the index, but there are other features that has to calling methods like add, remove, pop. I think for list you can also pop a list, pop out an item in a list. But of course you can also read about that when you read more about list. And now, so let me explain the concept of mutability. So we have a set I just define a simple set, 1, 2, 3. We print out the set already. This is what the output would look like. And now we now call the s.add for. So because the variable s holds this set information, we have to call a dot add. When we get to classes, I will actually explain why we always use this dot to call methods. You understand? So for now, just accept that, okay, when you have the variable name, then it adds additional feature where you can add. So use dot add. So when you add 4, there is another 4 we just, come to this place. And so when we print s, you see we are going to get this. For frozen set, it's not going to work because, like I said, frozen set, from the word frozen, it's immutable. So frozen set object has no attribute add. So you have to be very careful when you are working with data types. You have to be sure that you are not tampering with your original item, data. Because when you use a data type that is mutable and somehow you mistakenly maybe edit, it's going to overwrite the original, something. So be very careful. And like I said, for hashability, because frozen set is immutable, we can use the values, as keys for dictionary. But we'll talk about dictionary in a moment. As you can see, the frozen set works. Now we have used the 1, 2, 3 as keys, and we just assign it. We assign LO to the to our original set frozen set item. But for set, as you can see, we cannot. It's going to raise an error. So please, just for you to note that when things are immutable, mutable, if something is immutable, it always throws an error. I think this is just a repetition. Yeah, this is just a repetition, so you can ignore. Now, let's talk about mapping types. So just like set, you remember when we define at least this curly braces we are quite familiar now, but the only difference between defining a set and dictionary is how you define the entry. So in the last set, we just put in the items. We didn't assign it to anything. As you can see, we just name, okay, apple, banana, and they're just items. We don't know what it is, But in dictionary, you can assign something to something. So we want to create a dictionary, just like as the word implies, dictionary. So when you have a dictionary, you have every word in a dictionary, is assigned to a particular meaning. Okay. And in dictionary, it's just like this. For example, if this is a price of, let's say you sell goods and you want to create a dictionary of your goods, you can say, okay, apple is assigned to this price, 40, whatever, kobo or naira or something. Then orange is assigned to this amount. Banana is assigned to this amount. And when you print it, you see that, it's going to print out, these dictionaries. So now, unlike set, dictionary has keys and values. Okay, that's the difference. In set, we don't have any of this. So it's not structured in a way that we say, okay, that this is the key, this is the value. It's just value. We just want we just define some values or something, and we can print them out. These prices, we can access the keys by using the dot keys. So dot keys is a method. It's an inbuilt method for object for these prices, such that when you call the keys, it is going to just go through the item and pick out the keys like apple, orange, banana. That's the keys. Then the values are what we assign, the values are the things that are assigned to the keys. So if you click values, it's going to print the price, okay, the different price tag for the item. And so as we can see, this is the keys and this is the value. Yeah. So we can also, because here we can print the dot keys and dot values differently. We can also just say, okay, dot items. Items, we just print out both the keys and values in tuple. And we have discussed tuple. And when you use a for loop like this, you just want to tell Python, okay, for item, I'm still going to talk about for loop. Just go through these items in this dictionary and please bring out, output the key and the value. So this is a tuple. It's a two tuple. That is, it has the key and it has the value. Okay. And we can also do some things like we can delete, we can delete an item, like we can decide to delete, okay, I want to delete Apple, I want to delete this item. So you can delete. And, as you can see, same thing we did here, but now I just want to delete if key equal to orange. So what Python will do is, please don't just get confused about these for loops. For now, just assume that, just take it as it is. What we are doing is we want to loop through all the keys, just like we have here. This is what we would pop out if we say python.keys. Already we know the keys, and we want to go through the keys one by one. So apple, orange, banana. So, and now I'm printing a statement. I've not gotten to that point, control structures. I'll talk about that now. I'm just imposing a condition that if this key, that is this list of keys, which we have here, apple, orange, banana. If one of those keys equals to orange, please just delete that key. And what it means is that it's going to come, it starts with apple, picks apple, it's going to ask, is apple equal to orange? No, this would not happen. It's a conditional statement. And it goes to the second item, orange. Is orange equal to orange? It prints out a yes, then it's going to delete. And as you can see, if we run this now, suddenly the apple is gone. And the orange is gone. We only have apple and banana left, which is apple and banana. This is the line of code that is responsible for deleting that key. And mind you, once you delete a key, the value automatically deletes. So what do I mean? You cannot delete apple and 0.4 would remain, because apple is what is holding this information. So once you delete this apple, everything automatically disappears. All right, so now for Boolean types are just, like they represent one of the two values, true or false. And just like in Python, the T starts with a capital T, and we can just print as we have always done. We can check the type, and it's going to spit out bool, which means Boolean. Also, for false, we can also do same, and we can print out, our statement. Casting. So casting is also very important because we have been talking about data types, integer, float, string, list. We can go from one, data type to the other, at least reasonably. So what do I mean? If you have x equals 1, 2, 3, well, in this context, like I explained, in as much as 1, 2, 3 is an integer, but because we have put this 1, 2, 3 in, this single colon, single quotation, then what it means is that this is actually a string by default. And you can see here when we print this statement, before we converted it to integer, Python recognizes this 1, 2, 3 as a string. And the reason why it is a string is because of this, single colon. Well, you can also use double. It doesn't matter. But if you are using double at the start, you have to use double at the end. This will not work. It will throw an error. It will not work. So you have to use either single on both sides or double on both sides. You can also try it out on your script and it runs. So in this place now, we are saying, okay, Python, please, can you take this 1, 2, 3? Can you just convert it to int? So, and now as you can see, once we print out both statements, it tells us that, okay, this y, that is this one that we have casted to integer, is now an integer. But the string is what? Still a string, because as at this point, we didn't cast it yet. And you have to note something. When you are casting something, it has to be something that is reasonable. Because if you say ABC, ABC is a string, it's a string of characters. Unlike before, we had string of numbers. If you want to cast this thing to int, it's going to throw an error because there is no way ABC can one way or the other result to an integer. And it's going to say invalid literal for int with base 10. So what does it mean? The integer, the number, what has to be in that string has to be a base 10 object or something or something. So if I say 232, it's going to work because 232 is an integer. So note, we can also convert float to integers, as you can see, int a. So if you convert float to integer, what Python is going to do is just to approximate, okay? It's going to approximate, that is 3.14 is approximated to 3. So also just, you can note that. And we can convert integer to string, like as we did before, 123 is an integer, we can take it to a string. It makes sense. So because Python doesn't care about whatever. Of course, integers can also be a string as long as it's in a but when you print it out, it doesn't show that, like you can't tell if this one is an integer or string. So how do you know? You have to like check the type and you get to see the particular result. Now we can also convert list to tuple. Remember we can create list with a square brace, then tuple, then we just call the tuple and we can see it. So because for today, I was very happy to have covered some of the things we would be needing to for the purpose of this Python course. And by tomorrow, I will go into control structure, and you can also play around with it at your leisure time, but I would explain also in details. Then when we are done with control structures, then we can now go into, on Sunday, so it's tomorrow, we would have to complete the whole part. So I will have to complete the control structures and as well as classes. I will send the whole script. If I'm not able to complete it because of time, you don't have to worry. There are lots of materials, and as we dive into Python usage for the purpose of this course, then you begin to you learn faster while using. But you don't have to worry if we finish the script or not. It doesn't matter. As long as you can play around with it, you can test it at your leisure time. That's most important. So thank you, and I would give the floor to my colleague to end this section. Thank you. Well, I'm not sure if he's here, but can you guys hear me? Can anyone write a message and confirm that? Okay, Taya is here. Okay, yeah, so I'm done with today's section. We are done. So tomorrow we'll continue from controls. You have the script, please make a copy, and you can play around with it. And if you go down, there are some exercises already. You can already start to play around with, just for motivation. So you can stick with this from this casting to basic Python sectors. You can play around with it. Then tomorrow we complete the other part. Thank you, Sean. You can round up here.
All right. Thanks so much for your time, and thank you for at least staying this long. Can you hear me? Is it clear?
Yes.
Now?
Yes.
So we really appreciate your patience. At least we are still having like 85 people with us. So same time, same venue tomorrow. We continue and hope to see a lot of us as much as possible. Hope you've learned one or two additional things. And I have a lot of feedback. Maybe some people are scared. How do we go about this? Maybe this is your first time of seeing the Python interface and the like. So I always tell people, you are not expected to know everything at once. Just bear with us and let's take this journey together. Then I'm very sure you will only be a novice for once. And after today, after this training, you are no longer a novice to Python.
Yeah.
All right.
Sorry, I didn't.
Thank you.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't talk about everything. Looks strange, like you said, but you don't have to worry since we are going to be using it from time to time. So to get used to it. Yeah. Thanks again, and we wish you all the best.
Yes. Thank
tomorrow
you.
We'll continue. Yeah.
Bye. Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.
Thank you.